My name is Michele Collias, and I run a company called the StudyWorks, which is a branch of a U.S. organization that prepares students for SATs and ACTs. We offer test preparation in two different formats. One is in a classroom setting, in groups with lots of interaction between the students and the teacher, and then we also offer individual tuition, one-on-one, where a student can get into whatever their specific needs are in terms of both SATs and ACTs. We also offer a complimentary service in helping students through their application process, advising them on whether their essays are up to scratch and what they really should be doing in putting together a perfect application. Starting with the SAT, the subjects covered there are reading comprehension, and that includes vocabulary, oftentimes in context, and it covers math, which is logic and reasoning math, not traditional school math, and finally it covers grammar with an essay. The ACT is slightly different. It is grammar in a similar way to the SAT. It then has math, it then has reading comprehension, but no specific vocabulary, and finally it covers general science knowledge. You can take it with or without an essay. It's often a good idea if a student can't decide which exam they choose to use, the SAT or the ACT, to try a practice test of each. And the best way to do that is to sit down for the full 4 to 4.5 hours and take the exam start to finish, do it with the proper break times, and see exactly how it comes out. You can then choose which one you want to register for. Some students end up taking both anyway, and then they see how they did on the day of the test and use whichever one they do better on. I would say with respect to SATs, the reading comprehension is comparable to GCSE. The vocabulary is something that is never taught in the English system as a separate subject, so it's not really comparable to anything. Most British students need to study vocabulary, in addition to what they already know. The math is comparable to GCSE with a little bit of extra material that students need to study because it is logic and reasoning as opposed to just actual school math. Finally, the grammar is not taught in the British system, so on both tests the grammar is not a subject that students would know in and of their own education system. So it doesn't really compare to either GCSEs or ASs. The science, I would say, in the ACT is comparable to science, general science, in GCSE, but it is specific to that exam and it's worth practicing it before one takes the exam. If a student is taking A-levels in subjects that match the SAT-2 subject tests, then it's a very easy decision. They should take their subject test at the end of the AS year in either May or June, or at the beginning of the A2 year in October, November, or December. The material, I would say, is fairly comparable to A-level, and it should be an easy decision as long as they practice the 1-hour test before they go in and take it officially. If, however, a student finds that their A-levels are not very well related to the SAT-2 subject test, then the best fallback choices would be the literature paper, which is very similar to reading comprehension in both the SAT-1 and the ACT, or the math level 1, which is similar to the math in both the ACT and the SAT-1. You have to study for SAT-1 and ACT, so it's not that much additional work to prepare for the literature and the math level 1 in the subject tests. I would say the single greatest challenge that students need to overcome is the attitude that multiple choice tests are easy. I think a lot of teachers and a lot of people here think that, well, the answer's there, it's got to be an easy test. But what they fail to realize is that often there is a second best answer, which is also very close to a good answer. And if the tests were so easy, everybody could get a perfect score. So that's one myth that I think should be really considered and demystified. The tests are not that easy. The second thing I would say that's very important is that British students are not used to multiple choice tests, and they really do need to get used to that kind of testing getting used to eliminating answers, using the answers in an intelligent way to come up with the right answer. And finally, they need to learn to skip questions that they don't know and let their sort of subconscious work on that answer while they're doing other things that they do know, and just circle it and return.